Hey YouTube, today we're getting up close to the LEGO Ideas A-frame cabin set. Hey everyone and welcome to Brick Talk TV. You join us today on an up and close look at the LEGO Ideas A-frame cabin set. This set was released in January 2023 and is the 46th LEGO Ideas set to be produced by that programme. In our episode today, we're going to be taking a closer look at the box, the instructions, minifigures and the set features itself. So stick around for a closer look and remember to hit that like button if you enjoy this video. Now this set might not appeal to everyone. I know myself when it came to purchasing this set, I did and ah about it for a while, as it doesn't really pull on any childhood strings or any memories I have as a child in venturing off to an A-frame cabin. And it's probably more of an American pastime than maybe childhood memories you'd experience in Europe or other parts of the world. But nonetheless, I thought that the set did look pretty good, so I did wanted to grab a copy, and there seems to be some interesting building techniques, and it's reasonably priced at £159.99. So first up, let's take a closer look at the box. Top right here you can see that this is indeed the 46th idea set to be released under the LEGO Ideas banner, and LEGO have created this cool sketch logo as part of the design. As we move down the box, we have a dark red logo banner going across the entire box, and it points out that this LEGO set is for 18 years and plus in terms of its build difficulty and consists of 2,082 parts and is released under set number 21338. The rest of the front of the box, of course, is devoted to the finished build of this set, and you can see the cabin along with the surrounding foliage detail and the minifigures included in the set. Around the back of the box we can see the cabin again, but this time there are scenes set around the foliage and different aspects of the cabin with the minifigures doing activities. We can see how the cabin comes apart here with the roof and surrounding areas all detaching from the main building, and we'll see that later in this video. Then across the bottom of this box we have different action scenes and showing different play features or minifigure poses that can be achieved within this set. Finally, along the bottom we can also see that this set measures 44 centimeters or 17.5 inches wide and 28 centimeters or 11 inches tall, so it does take up quite a large area. Like most LEGO Ideas sets, the box also shows different stages of the LEGO Ideas program that this set had to go through in order to achieve its final status as a LEGO product. Then in the main area of this rear part of the box, we can see one section of the cabin's roof that's been removed, so we can start to see the details of the inside of the cabin more clearly. Moving across the top of the box, we can also see all of the minifigures that are included in this set, of which there are 4, as well as some additional animals that are dotted around the set to create that kind of wilderness feel, and we'll see these again later in this episode. So now with the box out of the way, let's take a closer look at what the minifigures are that we get in this set. First up we have this minifigure, which I think is a female minifigure, but I'm not totally certain. Dressed in sand blue legs and a gilet which is printed on the front and back of the torso. She features short, bright blonde hair on her head and she has 2 facial expressions. This one here, she is smirking, and when we take her hair off you can see that she's also sporting a second scared looking face, perhaps she's seen a bear in the forest. Next up we have another female minifigure. This one is sporting dark green legs and her torso is featuring a classic cable design woolen jumper which has the design printed on the front and the back of the torso. Her hair is dark orange in colour and is in the shape of long hair that's been put up into a bun. On the front of her face here you can see a smiling facial expression, and she has some great matching green glasses that almost match her trousers. Under that hair we have another facial expression, and this time it's more of a smirk than a smile being shown currently on the front. Third up we have another female minifigure. This one has 2 colours on her legs, some dark bluish grey trousers and some black painted boots on her feet, probably ready for some hiking. On her torso she also has some nice looking blue jumper that is printed on the front and the back with this cool woolly pattern design. She has also featured a blue satchel bag that is hanging along her side, which can be used for the hike that she's about to go on, and on top of her head she has some short funky black hair, and her facial expression is like that of another showing a cheerful face. And when we pop her hair off you can also see that she has even more of a joyful laughing face on the rear. Our final minifigure is this gentleman here. He certainly looks ready for a day of hiking. He's complete with a minifigure backpack on his back, ready to set off into the forest. On his legs he has two colours printed again like our last minifigure, but this time it's in dark tan for his main legs and then reddish brown on his feet to indicate some walking boots. As we move up to the torso, he has a bright red jacket complete with fur trim, and you can see that he has a jumper underneath his jacket. He is sporting some short black hair, and he also has a laughing expression shown on his face here. If we remove that hair, you can also see a second facial expression which shows a smirk on his face, and in both faces he's sporting a moustache. So that's all the minifigures. Now let's take a closer look at the instructions that you'll find in the box, and like most instructions today that we find in the box, it's inside a cardboard envelope, and inside that envelope are two manuals. Book 1 is sporting a watercolour of the cabin in a fainter colour, almost in daylight, with Book 2 having a painting in a much stronger colour depicting a nighttime scene. Both are also on a plain white background, which seems to be the general theme in sets that I've opened recently. Book 1 is pretty thick, as you can see here, and is where a lot of our build takes place. On the inside we have some details on bricks and also details about the VIP program, which as an additional fact is something that you should really sign up if you're buying LEGO products, as you'll get rewarded for them. Then we have some background on the next page of the history of an A-frame cabin and why they are important in recreational history, and then we get to meet the designer behind the LEGO set, namely Andrea Lattanzio, who is actually from Italy and not from America as you may think. This also includes a picture of himself and his original entry, which you can see has been adapted by the LEGO designers for this final product. We then get to meet the design team that was actually behind the adaptation of this A-frame cabin. There's some notable faces here include Justin Ramsden, who brought us many sets including Sanctum Sanctorum in recent months, and Ollie Gregory, who I think worked on the Haunted House Fairground ride a few years back. Then we get into the build experience and get taken through what we can expect, with bags 1 to 4 being the base of the cabin, and bags 5 to 7 being the details inside the ground floor, and also the log pile store and the tree that runs on the left of the cabin. Then at the back of the book you can see once we get the log store and the tree in place on the left of the cabin, we move over to book 2. On the last few pages of Book 1 we have the LEGO Ideas process spelled out again, and you can also see some examples of some previous LEGO Ideas sets, notably the football table, the Office TV programme set and the motorised lighthouse. And finally, finishing off the pages of this instruction manual, like many others, we have the bill of parts that are needed to build this part of the set. Picking up Book 2 you can see it's a lot thinner, as this will be focused on building the top level of the cabin only, and also adding in details of the roof and the final set of trees that are on the right side of the cabin. Here you can see that bags 8 and 9 are involved in the building the top part of the cabin, with bags 10 to 15 looking at finishing off the right hand side of the cabin with the trees, the details and the roof itself. So that's the instructions flick through. Now let's take a closer look at the finished set before diving into more detail. Here you can see the set completed, and you can see the size of it, and for me, with the width of this set taking up 44 centimeters wide, it actually takes up quite a large area, and for me on the shelf it does take up the majority of one of my shelves, so it is quite an awkward amount of room in my Kallax shelving, even though that I've modified it. But I think overall the look of this set is great. If you've got the spare space, then I thoroughly recommend that you grab hold of a copy of this set. If we take a closer look at the front here, you can see the log store with the printed tiles depicting some stacked logs of various sizes alongside a barrel which contains the axe ready to chop the log up. This log shack was reminiscent to me of the log store used in the blacksmith set a few ideas ago. And you can also see a butterfly stuck on the tree in the back just to add some more wilderness aspects to the view of this set. These butterflies are placed throughout the cabin in various places to show nature, so keep an eye out for those as we move through the rest of the set. As we move along the front you can see the interesting use of Thor's hammers here to give us that look of that stonework that's on the front of the porch, as well as a cheeky squirrel that is perched at the base of the staircase. We can also see on the right hand side of the stonework another butterfly stuck there, just adding a bit more nature into this aspect. And they've added some interesting detail as well with a bunch of mushrooms on the opposite side of where the squirrel is on the staircase. This mushroom technique is also seen in the recently released Rivendell set from Lord of the Rings. If we look round the back of the cabin, First off, we see a Canadian canoe which is being stored at the moment, and as we move along we see details of an outside shower with a towel and soap and a white flower being used here to depict a shower tap. As we move along we also have some more details of some gas and water that feeds the cabin and supplies it with those supplies, and we also have a shovel shown here next to the towel. So I do question whether this towel is actually some toilet paper so people can go to the toilet at the rear of the cabin. Let me know in the comments below which one you think it is. Taking the set apart to get a closer look, we can see that the two areas on the left and right side of the cabin slide away, only being held into position with some loose Technic pins. And then we can remove the roof itself. This roof is also similar to the blacksmith's in the sense that it just rests either side. It can be easily removed. And then finally we can remove the top level of the building, which is only held in place by a few studs, just like the modular buildings are when we stack those levels up on top of each other. Looking here you can see the pins and holes used to connect the tree areas to the cabin, and these just slide into place and not connected with any clutch control, so they're not like the building modulars when you stick them together with Technic pins. These simply just rest in place. Now with the roof off, let's take a closer look inside the ground floor of the cabin. Here with the roof removed you can see the two levels on show. On the top level we have a double bed alongside some bedside cabinets. You can also spot a scary spider that's hiding in the attic above the bed. And on the floor of the bedroom is a micro build of a LEGO set, and I think that's the LEGO Ideas Treehouse set. On the lower level of this side you can also see the edge of the kitchen with a sink, and on the front we have a writer's desk complete with a typewriter, a lamp and a tea set. If we zoom in on the other side you can see a seating area and a staircase leading up to the bedroom area, as well as some comfy seats. We also have a record player and a cupboard full of records ready to play on for those rainy days in a cabin. Taking a closer look on the other side you can see an interesting tap made of a metallic pistol piece and a milk carton on the side. At the back we also have a black stove for a fire to heat the cabin, and you can see the flue for that stove featuring all the way along the back of the cabin itself. Here you can also get a closer look of the kitchen and the writer's desk features that we mentioned earlier. As we zoom into the bedroom you can see the treehouse more closely, as well as some of the details of the walls and the double bed which has a set of binoculars resting upon it. The right hand tree attachment, we're depicting a little stream complete with mushrooms and an otter, and we also have our canoe stored ready to go with the equipment in a barrel to the right of the canoe. On the opposite side we have another look at the log store and get a good view of the bright red autumnal tree that towers over the log storage. The front of the cabin we have a porch which has a banister all the way around, as well as a bench that can be sat on, and here we get a closer look at the squirrel. And moving to the right we have a cooking stove which is currently cooking an egg. We also have a chair here which is made using some interesting techniques and also features two whip pieces. Moving up the front of the cabin we also have some cool details of another butterfly on the wall of the cabin and a bird box which is made using a 1x1 Technic brick with a hole in it and a wedge piece stuck on top. We also have printed wooden plank tiles used throughout the build above the windows and the doors. On the right here on the other side of the stream away from the otter you can see the use of a big ugly rock piece on its side to depict a rock area, as well as further mushrooms and other plants peppered all around the rocks. Moving up the tree here you can also see a red bird in the tree, which is a first for me, and on the other side of the cabin we have a blue bird in the tree, which I'm much more used to seeing in LEGO sets. The contrast in these leaf colours work really well in this set to create that forest vibe, as well as giving you that autumn's creeping in kind of vibe as well. Then looking at the back from a different angle we can see the little stream or river that the otter is playing in, as well as the details of the shower and the gas and water supply again for the cabin. So that's our close-up look at the cabin set. You can really see the design team pack lots of details into a relatively small set, and I think they did a great job. There's a good balance of familiar building techniques with the log storage as an example, and new building techniques such as the Thor's hammers for the stonework. We are also treated to a collection of various animals in this set and tree building techniques, and I think they look really cool in this build. So as for a set I wasn't necessarily going to get on day one, I'm very pleased that I did bite the bullet and did actually purchase this set, as I think it looks great, even as a display piece if you're not going to actually use it for any playability. If you enjoyed this up and close review, then do hit that like button so others get to see this video, and until next time, stay safe and I'll see you then.